An economist turned diplomat, now taking on the role of promoting Philippine-German relations. How does he plan to bring Manila-Berlin ties to new heights while experiencing Filipino culture on the side? Our conversation, German Ambassador to the Philippines, Andreas Pfaffernoschke. Ambassador, I want to begin with this. How do you measure the Philippine-German relations? First, as a diplomat, and second, as a foreigner assigned here in Manila.
Well, to start, thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you for the question. To start with the diplomatic level, I think we are on an all-time high. Currently, that's my feeling. I arrived here 10 months ago as Germany's ambassador, and what I feel diplomacy-wise and officially is such an openness of my Filipino counterparts. They are so keen to work with Germany, and also in Germany. Germany is opening up for Philippines. The Philippines are on the screen for many German politicians and for our government. So we are really at an all-time high of relations. I might say it's a honeymoon. We have a honeymoon period after President Marcos took over with this new administration, where we see so many new opportunities, so many new chances to work together after a period which was difficult. So diplomacy-wise, I think we are really at an all-time high. When it comes to what I see privately here, I'm overwhelmed by the hospitality of Filipinos. I've served different postings in the world, but what I encounter here when it comes to the openness, the hospitality of the Filipino people, that is really unique. And that is why personally, I'm very happy to be here, and I like to serve my country in this wonderful country, which is the Philippines.
Okay, so maybe could you give us a short story on how did you become a diplomat and why did you choose this profession to begin with? And okay.
Yes, of course, I will try to, although
sum it up.
to sum it up, because it would be a long story. So to make a long story short, I'm in the diplomatic service since 34 years now. I'm a trained economist, so after my high school exam, I was thinking, what can I do? What interests me? And I studied economics because that interested me. And then when I had the offer to also work as an academic at the university, I decided that's not my way to go. I want to work with people, I want to go global, I want to go around the world, and I want to serve my country. And in the, as you say, academic ivory tower, you cannot really do that.
Yeah.
I loved teaching. I loved to be assistant professor for many students. So being in relations with people. But then I thought the best way to be in touch with people, and many people and different people, would be to become a diplomat, serving my country in different regions of the world, getting to know different cultures, different languages, many different people. So that was fascinating, and I met a former German diplomat before I applied for the Foreign Service, who told me so many fascinating stories about his life as a diplomat, which also ended up as an ambassador to Saudi Arabia, that I thought, well, that's the way to go. I tried that one, and that is why I became a diplomat.
Okay, years of experience, but could you tell us now what makes an effective diplomat?
Yes, an effective diplomat is definitely someone who is able to connect to people, who's able to set up a network, who's able to entertain relations with many people, and of course the important people in the host country, so that you can be able to be the spokesperson of your country and also to hear what your host country has to tell you. It is about confidence and trust, being able to establish relations characterized by confidence and trust, because only with trust and confidence you can really entertain good relations. And I would say confidence and trust are, or is, the currency of diplomacy. So that is definitely one of the key issues. And of course you have to be able to analyze the political situation in your country. You have to be an analyst. That's why maybe my economic training also serves me well in what I'm doing here now. And yeah, you have to be flexible, because every 3 to 4 years, as you know, we move around the world to another posting. We have to adapt to new cultures, to new people, to new economic and political systems, and that demands a certain degree of flexibility.
I like what you've said there, sir, that trust is the currency of diplomacy. Did you apply for this particular post? Because I believe this is your first post in Asia, the Philippines. So did you apply it, or was it assigned to you? And what was your reaction when you were told that, okay, you will be posted in the Philippines?
Oh, well, that's very simple to answer. Yes, I applied for it. And yes, I was very happy when my human resources director called me and said, it's going to be Manila, because that was really very high, or on that place number one of our priorities. We have a system where you apply for postings. You can name up to 10 posts where you would like to go to. Sometimes your wishes come true, sometimes not. My wish came true, as this was number one on my list. So I'm completely happy, and I was happy that I learned that. And I hope I can still stay here for quite a while.
Less than a year since you arrived here in,
Yes.
in Manila, but how is Manila as a host country so far?
The Philippines as a host country are wonderful. As I said, the people are so nice, the nature is wonderful, the culture is so rich, the history is so interesting that I really love to be here. Yes, we all know Manila has also its disadvantages, traffic, weather sometimes, it's very humid and hot. But I was in Africa before, so I'm used to extreme climate conditions. But to make it a long story short again, the Philippines are a wonderful posting and a wonderful country.
Okay. You've mentioned that we have so many common shared interests, the Philippines and Germany, and you're working on a number of projects and areas of cooperation. But with all this things that are happening between Philippines and Germany, which among these projects or programs give meaning to your job at the moment, and also challenges at the same time?
Well, I would like to name a few. The first one I would like to mention is a program we call micro projects of this embassy, where we have a fund to finance small micro projects all over the country, which directly benefit the population. This gives me the opportunity to travel around, because I'm trying to be there once a project is finished and we can do the handover ceremony. So this allows me to better understand this country, because you have to go out of Manila. You have to travel to the regions to understand how this country is working, and at the same time to meet the population. So being very close to the people once we hand over equipment for a school or a rice mill or solar panels for housing. These kind of things are very important to me, because that makes me feel, well, these are the real Philippines. This is one. The second project I'd like to mention is the exchange of healthcare workers to Germany, the Triple Win program, where we really make and train skilled workers, mainly nurses in the Philippines, to go to Germany. This is a triple win, because the nurses are winning, they go to Germany to work. Your country is winning, because these nurses, of course, earn money, send remittances to the Philippines, and come back as even better trained nurses one day. And my country is winning, Germany, because we can benefit from the wonderful skilled labor of Filipino nurses in Germany. So this is definitely a second one. A third one I'd like to mention, climate talks. We have engaged in intensive talks with this government, with the civil society, with academia, with the university, to shed light on focused problems of climate change. We're organizing this 3 to 4 times a year, and this is also a program which is very close to my heart. And finally, of course, human rights. Germany is very engaged in human rights. We have a budget here for human rights projects, and we are financing 5 to 6 human rights programs a year, where we would like to support civil society, human rights defenders, NGOs, to work on very selected human rights issues like women's rights, children's rights, the accountability of what has been done in the past in this country, I think this is important to make a better future for this country.
About human rights.
Yeah, of course.
How do you think the Marcos administration is faring when it comes to the human rights situation in the country, and how do you reconcile the policies of the current administration to human rights when they vocally said that they will not participate, let's say, in international criminal court proceedings or probe on the previous administration's war on drugs? So how do you reconcile it?
Well, to start with the human rights situation, we are still concerned with the human rights situation. There are improvements compared to the Duterte administration. Definitely the war on drugs, at least as an official war called out by the administration, is over. But we still see a much too high number of extrajudicial killings. We still see too much enforced disappearances. We still do not see the right amount of accountability for those who have committed crimes under the war of drugs. So the human rights situation still is a reason of concern to us. And we see the government is saying the right things. We think the judicial system slowly but steadily is working on the accountability. So we see a certain progress, but it's a little bit like with the business things. It should be much quicker, and there's still room for a lot of improvement. The ICC issue is a particularly delicate one, I would say. I could only encourage this government, this administration, to cooperate with the ICC. You know, Germany is a founding member of the ICC. We are a very vocal supporter of the ICC. We think the ICC is also part of an international rules-based order. So if we say multilateralism is important, then the ICC is part of it. So we need a cooperation with the ICC, and believe me, we encourage the Philippines to again cooperate with the ICC. At the end, it's of course the sovereign decision of a sovereign government, but our point of view is very clear on that. And also in the talks in Berlin and in Manila on a higher level than mine, we have very much underlined and emphasized this point.
Okay, the key word there is encourage,
right,
Ambassador.
Exactly.
Okay, hearing people-to-people exchanges, labor opportunities in Germany. Are you opening up for, let's say, for more Filipinos to work in Germany? In which particular sector, if there is?
Yeah, definitely we are opening up. And as you know, there's a long-standing cooperation already when it comes to nurses and health workers. We have the Triple Win program run by GIZ and here the Department of Migrant Workers since more than 10 years, which has attracted thousands of nurses coming to Germany. And as far as I understand, that is a very successful program. We would love to expand. We would love to have more nurses and more healthcare workers in Germany, but we are also looking into other skilled workers. So we are no longer limited to health workers. The demand for skilled workforce in Germany is extremely high. And when my foreign minister was here, we signed an MOU with Testa on broadening up the cooperation and making the German labor market for skilled workers from the Philippines a more interesting market, not only restricted and focused on nurses and the health sector, but to do much more. So we are opening up. We are working with the government on a comprehensive agreement on migration and mobility to Germany, which would open up the door for many Filipinos to work in Germany.
And are you working on a specific number, Ambassador?
No, we don't give numbers. We do not set quotas. We don't say we want 10,000 Filipinos till 2030. I think that would not be the right approach. We should create the right ground. We should create the right framework conditions. And then we hope that the market and the attractiveness of Germany as a labor market would do its part. So we leave that to the enterprises, to the business.
And sustainability is also a priority because I think Germany is also working with the Philippines in order to ensure, let's say for the health workers, that there will be no shortage of manpower health workers in the Philippines.
Of course, you're mentioning a very important point. When we talk about migration of skilled labor to Germany, we are not talking about a brain drain, or we should not talk about a brain drain. It is not about getting all the skilled workforce which have been educated and trained in the Philippines to Germany, and we benefit from it. No, it must be a two-way street, meaning training facilities should be financed and equipped from Germany here. Filipino workers working in Germany should come back in order to make use for their country of all the skills they have also learned in Germany. So as I said, it must be a two-way street, and we are very well aware of the concerns this administration has when it comes to moving too many skilled workers to other countries. Although, if you compare the numbers, Germany is still a very small partner when it comes to skilled workers. There are millions of Filipinos working in other countries. We might have 30,000 skilled workers working in Germany currently. So there's also, again, room for improvement.
You've been very transparent when it comes to challenges being encountered by, potential investors in the Philippines. How do you think the Philippines can improve its policy in order to make investing in the Philippines more, easier, or it'll be, the access, the policies? What kind of policy change are you hoping for the Philippines?
I think we do not need so much a policy change. That what is in law and what is said by this government, all the executive orders and administrative orders which are already in place are good. And when we talk to officials of this government, I think they have the good things in mind and they want to do the right things and know exactly what is lacking. What is lacking is mainly implementation. So implementation in terms of effectively and forcefully fighting corruption, reducing red tape, reducing the bureaucratic procedures that you need, the number of permits, the length of time till you can open up a business. So that is definitely something where we would love to see improvement. The ease of doing business index, the so-called, is not yet where it should be to make business here more attractive. And in order to have that, we should allow this government the time to implement all the reforms and all the right things they have already set on the trail, I would say. But we would, of course, like to see results. So talking to business community here the echo is always, yes, this government is doing the right things. But when you go to the provinces, when you go to the regions, when you want to open up a business in another region, it still encounters difficulties. So bureaucracy, corruption, red tape, these are the things where we would like to see an improvement. But there's also progress. We have a memorandum of understanding signed between the German Filipino Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Anti-Red Tape Authority, ARTA, where we can work together now on concrete cases. Once concrete cases arise, we have a partner in the government whom to work with in order to settle these problems. So I think we are on a good way to make the business climate in the Philippines, together with our Filipino friends, better. But yes, there is still some room for improvement. There's no doubt about it.
Okay, room for improvement. Do you encounter challenges in doing your job?
Of course, yes. Although I said I'm received here, I feel received here with open arms, there are always challenges. You also encounter challenges in terms of you have to convince this government of the viewpoint of my government, which is not always easy. Challenges also are consisting when it comes to individual business cases here in this country, which do not run very well. So where you have to go to the government and complain, I would say, about the way German companies are treated. This is definitely also challenging. And yes, the weather is challenging, the traffic is challenging, but that's all.
All right. And Ambassador, you've mentioned that one of the programs that's close to your heart is helping micro and small entrepreneurs, and it gives you the chance to visit a number of places in the Philippines. Do you have a specific bucket list on the places that you want to visit while you're here?
I still want to visit. Oh yeah, I've been to some places already. I've been to some of the islands, some of them for official reasons, some of them as a tourist, like Palawan or Siquijor, which I like very much. But I still want to go to Sagada, to the mountain region. I've been to Panawe for hiking, but I need to see more of that wonderful region of the Philippines, which is the mountain region. I would, if security allows, one day during my term here, I would like to go to the Zulu Sea, so to the very south of the Philippines, which must be fascinating with all the small islands. But unfortunately, for the time being, that is impossible to do. Well, and I would like to go also snorkeling maybe at the Tubatu Reef, because with this is also a dream destination.
Wow, that sounds a lot of places to
Yeah,
visit, but
I still have
I
the
hope
time.
you still have a lot of time.
Yes.
That's the issue. That's the big challenge, having enough time to explore the Philippines. What are you most interested in when exploring one's culture?
I think the first thing I've tried to discover is the culture and the history. I noticed already in my travels here in the Philippines that the culture is very diverse, very rich and different. Whether you go to the mountain regions of Luzon or whether you go to Mindanao, there's definitely a huge difference in culture. And history is very interesting because the Philippines have a very interesting history, not only because Germany was also once very close to this region with colonies we had here till 1914, not in the Philippines, but in the surrounding islands, as you know, but also because the Philippines have been colonized by the Spaniards for 300 years. And you still...
Ambassador, as a last question, usually I ask ambassadors who are leaving the Philippines, what's the legacy
not yet there.
they want to leave behind? But maybe for you, what kind of mark do you want to achieve maybe during your stint? I mean, it's too early, but what are you looking forward to? At the end of your term, what will you achieve?
Thank you very much. That's not always easy to say because new challenges might occur and it's also probably difficult to measure. But if you would ask me what is my main focus of work here, I would mention two. I would first mention human rights, so contributing with our force, with our capacities, with all our work to improve the human rights situation in this country and to help to overcome the shadows of the past, I would say. To place this country, which has an image which also has room for improvement, as a country with an image of human rights, where human rights are respected and where human rights are respected at any point in time, at any region of this country. And the second is economic relations. I would love to see more German business, more German investment in this country, and I'm also working on that. With this is something you can quantify. You can say, well, we have 10, 15, 100, 200 more German investments in this country. So we are working on that, and that's also some of the legacies I would like to leave behind me here.
But it's too early.
It's too early to say. Let's talk about it 2 years again.
Yeah, let's ask for an
or
update
3 years
after
again,
3
right?
years.
Yes.
But German Ambassador Pfaffernoschke, thank you for granting this interview. Thank you for this conversation.
A pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk to you.